Sometimes the best stories arrive unexpectedly. A few weeks ago, we received a comment on our YouTube channel about our interview with Carl Magnusson and the lawsuit with JBL over his Type C Jaguar replica. The comment came from a viewer who mentioned something that stopped me in my tracks. His father, Martin Redfern, had won the 1960 Macau Grand Prix driving a Jaguar XKSS. The 1960 race was legendary. Martin Redfern's victory in that brutal street circuit was the stuff of motorsport folklore. But his comment sparked a question. Had a Lotus 7 ever competed at Macau? What I found was even better than I'd hoped. Not the 1960 race, but 1962, the 9th Grand Prix at Macau. And buried in those results was something extraordinary. A Lotus Super 7 had finished second overall. Second place in a Grand Prix. Let that sink in. To understand what Don Bennett achieved, you need to understand the Guia Circuit. It's not just another street circuit, it's one of the most demanding racetracks ever conceived. Born from a treasure hunt route in 1954, the circuit winds through 6.2 kilometres of Macau's unforgiving streets. The layout hasn't changed significantly since that first race. The same corners, the same challenges, the same dangers that drivers face today existed in 1962. The Guia Circuit is a beast. Consider these facts. Over 30 metres of elevation change. You're climbing a mountain and diving back down lap after lap. The narrowest point, at what's now called the Melco hairpin, is just 7 metres wide. Barely 2 cars side by side. A main straight where Formula Junior cars could hit 140 miles per hour before braking hard for Lisboa Bend. Walls everywhere, concrete, stone and later Armco barriers painted in those distinctive yellow and black stripes. No runoff, no forgiveness. One mistake and you're into a wall or over a barrier. Drivers who've raced there compare it to Monaco, followed by Silverstone's high-speed sections, all compressed into one savage lap. It demands absolute commitment, perfect car control, and nerves of steel. And in 1962, Don Bennett brought a Lotus Super 7 to this automotive gladiatorial arena. Colin Chapman's philosophy was simple: add lightness. The Lotus Super 7 embodied this principle with fanatical devotion. Built on a multi-tube space frame with stressed aluminium panels, the entire car weighed around 1,260 pounds without the driver. The Super 7 designation meant it came with something special under the bonnet. Early versions used the Coventry Climax FWA engine, but by 1962, many were running tuned Ford units or the highly desirable Cosworth-modified Kent engines. With close ratio gearboxes, limited slip differentials, and competition-spec suspension, these weren't just quick road cars, they were purpose-built racing machines that happened to be street legal. In period tests, a well-prepared Super 7 could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 6 seconds and reach speeds approaching 130 miles per hour. More importantly, it could corner like it was on rails. The low centre of gravity, exceptional rigidity, and minimal weight meant the 7 could dance through corners that would have heavier, more powerful cars wallowing and scrubbing off speed. Don Bennett was British, and like many privateers of the era, he raced because he loved it. The early 1960s were the twilight years of the gentleman racer, men who funded their own campaigns, maintained their own cars, and showed up at circuits across Asia and Europe simply for the love of competition. Bennett recognised what many didn't. The Lotus 7 wasn't just a club racer. In the right hands, on the right circuit, it could compete with anything. Its lightweight and nimble handling gave it advantages that raw horsepower couldn't overcome, especially on a tight, technical street circuit like Guia. November 18th, 1962, the 9th Grand Prix of Macau. 60 laps of absolute commitment around the Guia Circuit. This was Formula Libre, which meant anything goes. Purpose-built Formula Junior single-seaters lined up alongside production-based sports cars, GT exotics, and everything in between. The favourite was Arsenio Dodgy Laurel from the Philippines, driving a Lotus 22 Formula Junior car. The son of the Philippine vice president, Laurel was fast, fearless, and had the machinery to win. His Lotus 22 was a proper single-seater, lighter, more aerodynamic, more powerful than Bennett's Super 7. Behind him on the grid, Jaguar E-Types with their 3.8-litre straight sixes, other Formula Junior cars, a Triumph TR4, Martin Redfern's Jaguar XKSS, the car that had dominated 2 years earlier. This was the chaos and beauty of Formula Libre, David and Goliath stories waiting to happen on every corner. Picture this: Bennett's Super 7, barely over £1,000, dicing with £2,800 Jaguar E-Types and purpose-built racing single-seaters. On the straights, the more powerful cars would pull away, but then came the corners: Lisboa Bend, Reservoir, Mandarin, and the 7 would come alive. Where the E-Types had to brake hard and muscle through corners, Bennett could carry more speed. Where the heavier cars would push and slide, the 7 would grip and rotate. Lap after lap, threading through traffic, finding lines that other drivers couldn't use, exploiting every advantage that Chapman's minimalist philosophy provided. Laurel in the Lotus 22 was in a different league. He'd eventually win the race, but behind him, Bennett was waging his own war. Against the Jaguars, against other Formula Junior cars, against drivers who probably didn't take the little 7 seriously until it was too late. 60 laps later, the impossible became reality. Don Bennett crossed the line in second place overall, behind Laurel's Formula Junior car, but ahead of everything else. Ahead of Albert Poon's Jaguar E-Type, ahead of Teddy Yip, yes, that Teddy Yip, the future Theodore Racing Team owner, also in an E-Type, ahead of another Formula Junior car, and ahead of a Triumph TR4. A production-based sports car, a kit car you could build in your garage, had taken second place at an international Grand Prix, against purpose-built race cars and exotic GTs. Second place at a Grand Prix in a Lotus 7. So why does this matter? Why should a race from 1962, won by a driver most people have never heard of, matter to us today? Because it proves something fundamental about the Lotus 7 philosophy. Colin Chapman believed that lightweight, proper engineering and intelligent design could overcome brute force. Don Bennett's second place at Macau wasn't a fluke. It was validation of everything Chapman stood for. This wasn't a factory works car. This was a privateer in a production-based sports car competing at the highest level of Formula Libre racing and succeeding. It showed that the 7 wasn't just a clever road car or a weekend club racer. It was a genuine racing weapon. Look at the field Bennett beat. Jaguar E-Types that cost 3 times as much. Formula Junior cars with superior power-to-weight ratios. Experienced local drivers who knew every inch of the Guia Circuit. And yet the little Lotus 7 crossed the line ahead of all of them. Today, the 7's DNA lives on, through Caterham, through hundreds of kit car manufacturers worldwide, through every Westfield, Dax, Birkin and Locost builder in their garage, following Chapman's blueprint. The fundamental principle remains unchanged. Keep it light, keep it simple, make it fast through corners. When you see a 7 at a hill climb, destroying the lap times of cars with twice the horsepower, you're watching Bennett's achievement play out again. When you watch a Caterham embarrass supercars on a tight track, that's the same lesson learned on the streets of Macau in 1962. The 1962 Macau Grand Prix proved that the 7 wasn't just about philosophy or engineering elegance. It could actually win against professional competition on one of the world's most demanding circuits. So thank you, Mr. Redfern, for that comment about your father's 1960 victory. It sent me down a rabbit hole that led to Don Bennett, the 1962 Macau Grand Prix, and one of the most remarkable achievements in Lotus 7 history. Martin Redfern's win in 1960 was legendary, taking an XKSS to victory against all comers. But Don Bennett's second place in 1962 might be even more significant for the 7 community. It proved that Chapman's minimalist philosophy could compete at the highest level. November 18th, 1962. 60 laps of the Guia Circuit, a British privateer in a Lotus Super 7 against the world. Second place overall in a Grand Prix. That's not just a footnote in racing history. That's proof that sometimes the little guy really can win.